What's the difference between 2016 and 2017? Well, maybe only the last digit, because I received a wonderful present again. This time it's Dragon's 135th Bell UH-1D Huey. It's a kit I always wanted to have, but I simply didn't have the money to buy it. This kit was given to me by Hamilkar Barkas. Although I think all my subscribers are also subbed to his channel, I put the link in the description box. Thanks a lot, Michael. That's generosity at its finest. The front box art shows two Hueys on patrol over Vietnam. It's really a nice illustration that makes me want to start building this kit at once. The two short sides show the front box art again. Here we see the year of release, but it's actually an upgraded REBOXING. The kit is based on PANDA Model's kit from 2002, and here we see what the upgrade of this kit is. Pre-painted Edward PE fret and cartograph decals. We'll take a look at both later, but I really dig those items, although I don't like PE. You heard me saying that several times before, and I really mean it. I don't like PE. In this case, I guess I'll have to change my mind a bit, because painting instrument panels is one thing I hate more than PE. Dragon provides us with 6 painting and marking options. I will go more into detail in this review. The second long side of the box shows some unpainted views of the build model. There are 4 figures included, but I don't know yet if I'll use them. I've got 2 dias in mind and I need to figure out which I'll build. One of them will not need these figures. First off, I don't know more about helicopters than that they can fly. For most parts in this kit I don't even know the German words. I beg your pardon for not even trying to name parts of which I haven't got the slightest idea what they are. I hope I'll learn more about them during the build. Anyway, on this sprue we find the fuselage halves, and their size is really something else. This will be the largest kit I ever built. There are also the side doors, the jet engine covers, 2 interior walls and the buckets for the pilot seats. And here we see something you wouldn't expect on a kit with an official retail price of almost 67 euros. The upper strut of the side door on the backboard fuselage half isn't complete, and a short piece of window frame on the front door is missing too. I guess that this isn't a standard, and maybe it only happened to a few, or maybe even only to this kit. I will take care of these things when I get round to building the Huey. The starboard fuselage half is flawless, and I like the rivet and panel line detail. I don't know if these details are correct or too large or too small, and actually I don't care. I'm a very slow modeler, and if I started rivet counting I'd never finish a build at all. The interior walls show the typical pattern that everybody knows. It makes the Huey look like a flying padded cell. The buckets for the 2 front seats look nice, although there's a little bit of flesh to remove. The 2 side doors have the same nice rivet detail as the fuselage. The engine covers or cowlings are parts of which I already know that I'll change them. I'll cut out the molded mesh and replace it with copper mesh. It might make it necessary to build something that looks like the engine, but I won't do anything crazy here. As usual, I flip the sprue over to look for ejector pin marks. There are some on the inner sides of the fuselage halves, but I don't know yet which of them need to be removed, if any. These marks won't be visible. Again, the areas are removed to install copper mesh. These marks will have to be taken care of, although I built the doors open. No ejector pin marks here. Sprue B with the rotor blades, pilot seats, crew seats and more interior parts. The rotor blades are about 21 centimeters long, and I think they're nicely done. All I can name here are the 2 partitions between pilot's and co-pilot's seat. And here we have the seats with molded on seat belts. The belts are quite nicely detailed, but they'll have to be removed for either of the dials I'll build. If I use the figures, I won't glue them onto the seat belts, and if I don't, the belts won't be placed on the seats as neatly as they are here. We come to this later, but you already saw that there are PE seat belts and I'll use them. These are the tail wings, if that's the right word, and again we find nice rivet detail. No idea what these are, but they need extra care while cutting them off. Supports and backrests for the crew seats. And the seats. I feel the urge to build them from scratch because in my opinion the canvas looks too thick and has no texture. Some rotor parts. The long curved part is the instrument panel seen from the rear. This is the rear cover of the instrument panel. And again I turn the sprue over to take a closer look. No ejector pin marks on the rotor blades. There are some on these partitions, and as far as I can say now, they'll have to be filled. Everything's okay with the seats and wings. Nothing to remove or fill here. Sprue C with the landing gear, interior floor and roof panels, and the firewall. The floor panel with the middle console. I'll shave off the detail and use a pre-painted PE part instead. Here we have one of the two roof panels. This would sit on top of the cabin. Part of the hydraulic lines will be visible. Since they are hoses and tubes on the actual helicopter, I'll shave them off and rebuild them with silicone and rubber threads. The landing gear. There are only scene lines to remove. All I can name here is the padded firewall or bulkhead. More crew seats. The control sticks and levers. Again, some parts of which I don't know the names. And the pedals. Let's see if there are any weird ejector pin marks on this sprue. This is a fuselage stop that sits above the roof you saw before. The cutout is large enough to show the hydraulic lines. The tail rotor and the seats are flawless. There are ejector pin marks on these small parts, and I don't know yet if they need to be filled. These ejector pin marks will be invisible, so no need to do anything about them. A view of the inside of the roof panel. 4 of the ejector pin marks will be covered by the bulkhead, but I don't know yet about the rest. If they need to be filled, it'll be a difficult task because you'll have to rescue the roof's pattern. And now for the clear parts. They are clear, although they seem to have a reddish hue on the cutting mat. The parts are quite thick, and that's why these curved parts make for some distortion. No problems with the flat clear parts. The front parts of the side doors come as clear parts. The window needs to be masked before the paint job. The windshield's frame is part of the clear part and needs to be painted too. And here are the 2 PE threads. The brass one is standard and the pre-painted one is made by Edward and is added as an upgrade. I'm already scared to death because of these tiny little rings. I do like the wipers and I hope I won't bend them with my sausage fingers. And now for the Edward thread. The instrument panels look really nice and my painting skills wouldn't allow me to come even close to this. brown rectangulars look like some kind of leather pads. And then we have tons of pre-painted parts for seat belts. They look fantastic and I really don't mind that I don't need to paint them. What can be said about cartograph decals? They are thin, there's not much of a carrier film, and they're in register. As I said, there are 6 marking options, but there's not much stenciling included. I don't know if that's correct, but maybe you do and can tell me more about it in the comments section. Instructions. Dragon instructions. Well, we start with a black and white rendition of the front box illustration. Then the sprue map, and you won't believe it. The blue square that usually marks hundreds of parts that are not for use is not for use. No spare parts, all parts go into the build of this Huey. Dragon only lists Gunzazangyo paints, but you can choose whichever brand you prefer according to the color's names. I really don't want to say much about the instructions. You can see for yourself that there are some steps that are really busy. I scanned the complete instructions and make sub-steps for the busy ones. I think that's quite advisable if you don't want to miss any parts. The steps I mean can easily make for confusion if your mind isn't set 100% on what you do. I wish Dragon would invest a little more money into paper. I marked the struts to make clear that they're really partially missing. All in all, I would say that the instructions are pretty much forward, but I haven't looked for steps that might be in the wrong order. I'll do that prior to building the Huey. Depending on the dio I choose to build, detailing the interior is more or less important, and that's why I must decide which one I'll build early enough. Needless to say that the use of PE parts already drives me nuts, but I said it before, they must be used. The painting and marking options are for 5 different versions from the Vietnam War between 1967 and 71. There's one version that was on the Paris Air Show in 1962 and that has to be painted black. I wonder if the Rolling Stones wrote the song after they saw this Huey. I just want to show you a couple of pics of the figures. Since I don't know if I used these or any other helicopter crew figures, I didn't do the pics in a particular order. To me they look like Generation 1 figures, but I'm not quite sure if I like them enough to use them. On the other hand, they save me some money on figures if I decide to use them. The instructions for the figures are like those on Dragon figure set boxes, only that they are in black and white here. The painting guide is included. Although the backboard fuselage half was delivered in a damaged condition, I don't want to do a conclusion now. Things like that can happen, although they shouldn't. Of course, it's more annoying on an inexpensive kit. It doesn't say anything about the fit of the parts and the overall appearance once the kit is built. So you'll have to wait until I finish this baby. You'll need a lot of patience though.